Hi, today we're going to draw a chameleon and I'm going to show you how I achieved this look. After I drew this, I animated as well, as you can see in this animation. So let's begin. I'm going to start with using Monoline brush. It's under Calligraphy and I'm going to draw its head. So it's going to be the simple shapes I'm going to use and add a lot of textures. All the brushes I used are available in Procreate, so you don't have to buy or download any additional brushes. Okay, so I'm using Move tool to reduce the size slightly of its head, and I'm going to create its body too. So again, I simply draw its body and I'm adding its tail, and I fill in the layer. I feel that I need to change its shape slightly, and I think that looks a bit better. Now I'm adding some additional shapes to its body. I think that looks a bit of like prickles or spikes. So just simply drew the shape and filled in. I'm adding another layer on top of these layers, choosing a darker green, and I'm going to draw its legs. I'm drawing each shape separately because I want to animate it. And I think the best would be to keep all the shapes on separate layers. So now I'm drawing another leg. I'm drawing a shape so it looks as it's holding a tree branch. Just wanted to say tree and then just realized it's a branch. And I'm going to draw another leg, so he has 4 legs. I'm going to use alpha lock and fill in the layer because I want the front legs to be brighter than the back, the legs behind. So it kind of creates a shape. So that's how it looks. The brighter colors are in front and the darker legs are behind. Okay, I'm going to use warp just to reshape its legs a bit. So now when I have his kind of shadow and contour, I'm going to start adding details. I'm going to choose a very light green, and don't forget to create a new layer above the layer you want to draw and use the clipping mask. So just in case you want to change something, simply. Okay, so I decided I want its head above its body layer. So I'm using the noise brush and I'm adding yellow, bright green and darker greens. I like this brush a lot, it gives a nice texture, it still looks clean and interesting. Now I'm going to do the same. I have a clipping mask above the body layer and I'm adding darker around the edges, and I leave it lighter in the middle just to create this oval shape. Okay. Now I'm going to use the Calligraphy Monoline brush And I'm going to add some lines on its back. Okay, so these look like triangles. I'm just going to fill them in. I'm going to use the eraser a bit later just to make them look a bit sharper. Okay, so we can go as far as its tail, and you see I used the razor to make it sharper. I just deleted around the edges. Okay, I have alpha locked. I'm going to use a kind of red, and I'm going to use the noise brush. I'm just adding over the shapes we just recently drew. Again, I'm adding reds and yellows and the colors just to make it more vibrant and more interesting. Okay, so my new layer on the new clipping mask above its body layer, I'm adding some more yellows, and again dark at the top. Now I'm going to choose a bit of bluish, because when I looked at the photos before I was creating this illustration, some of them they had a bit of blue shading as well, so I just wanted to add this. If it's too much, simply double tap it to delete it. And I'm adding some purple as well. And always I use the noise brush. Okay, I'm creating another layer. I'm using Touchups Old Skin brush. And with this yellow kind of green, I add a bit more texture. It looks really realistic and really nice. I'm doing the same around its head. I choose between lighter and darker colors. And you can change the blending mode. Just choose which one you prefer. I'll choose multiply. Again, I'm doing another layer, and this one I'm using Spraypaints Flicks, and it gives a really nice texture. The one you would expect to see on a lizard. Okay, I'm adding some blue ones and lighter ones. Yellow ones. And I'm going to do the same on its head. Choosing clipping mask so it doesn't go over the main shape. And you can change opacity and change the blending mode. Really can play with the settings here. I just feel that every time I go to blending mode, I start flicking through different ones until I find the one I feel is good, and I keep changing. Okay, so we add another clipping mask. Again, I'm going to use the noise brush. This time I'm using a bright yellow, and I'm going to do its legs. This time I'm going to do the front of its legs brighter and the back more green and a bit darker. Again, just to create a shape. As I said, I have all its shapes on different layers, so I could create the animation you saw. The animation I created was in After Effects, not in Procreate. Okay, so I'm adding some more shadings. and a new clipping mask above its leg that is behind. I always check which layer I'm drawing, and this time I'm adding some blue and darker greens, and I'm going to add some lighter purple ones so it matches its tail. Okay, I'm going to do it the same for another leg. I'm starting with the darker, choosing a bit of purple, and I'm going to use Calligraphy brush tool again. I'm going to choose green and draw a circle. I just hold it, add the shape and choose circle. So it gives a nice circle shape. And if you want, you can use the uniform just to change its size. So I duplicated the layer and then I used the move tool to create a smaller circle, and I'm going to do it again. Select it, move it, because it creates a copy, and make it even smaller circle. You can of course do, instead of doing the same one, you can draw 3 times circles, starting biggest one and finishing the smallest one. Now I'm going to do clipping mask on each of the circles, just to add again a bit of depth. And I'm using lighter for the middle one, and this time I used alpha lock, so everything what I add, it stays in the same layer and doesn't go beyond the shape I just drew. Okay, so I'm going to choose a Calligraphy Monoline brush again, choose nearly black and increase size that much, and add the eye, and I'm going to decrease the size and make a small white for its little reflection on its eye, I should say. Okay, I'm adding another layer above its main head layer. This time I'm going to use inking technical brush, and I'm going to draw its mouth. Now above his eye I'm going to use Calligraphy and draw its nose, simply with 2 dots. Now I'm going to use a bright orange color, and it looks more as bright orange, but I would say it goes towards the brown shading as well. Because my chameleon is so bright and colorful, I decided to have the branch brighter too as well. So I'm just drawing simple shapes. Now I'm going to use an eraser and I'm going to use clipping mask above the branch and use again nice brush. Use a darker around the edges and much lighter, nearly yellow. You can even actually choose really bright yellow for the middle. And I'm going to choose really dark brown for the shading around its legs, so you can see where he's holding. Okay, now I'm going to group the layer with the branch. I'm going to flatten the one, and I'm going to select its body layer and return to the branch flattened layer and use eraser. That's the way its tail goes above the branch. I'm going to alpha lock the layer with the branch, use the noise brush and add more shadows. Use Calligraphy, again Monoline. Choose really nice green color, and we're going to add some leaves. So just add simple shapes of leaves around. Don't want to go too much in detail, because chameleon has to be the main focus in this illustration. I think just those leaves add really nice detail. Okay. Now above its body, I'm going to add some more texture, because I decided to have some around its head as well, because it looks so much better. Now I'm going to use a clipping mask above the leaves just to add some texture, noise as well. So I'm using yellow here. And I'm going to use I'm going to add another clipping mask above the branch. This time I'm going to use Calligraphy Monoline brush. Choose a really dark brown color, and I'm going to create lines. Probably I'm going to increase the size of the brush, like this. Okay, so now I'm going to change blending mode, and you can try different variations, that the one you think looks best. I'm going to choose soft light and decrease the opacity. And that's it. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I hope you enjoyed the animation.